There are a few myths and misconceptions that people have when it comes to our dogs and cats. So, Kish, let's start with cats and scruffing them by the neck.
Well, we definitely don't want to scruff an adult cat by the neck, Lara, because it can cause fear and helplessness and escalate any pre-existing signs of aggression. It's a common misconception that cats will relax when they're held by the scruff, and that's because when they're kittens, that's obviously how their mothers carry them around. But that urge to relax, that instinct to relax when they're held by the scruff disappears by adolescence. So it can be really, really stressful for an adult cat.
Okay, and it's the same with dogs as well, because it's only the first few weeks that a mother dog does that, and then after that it can really put a lot of pressure on their neck and hurt them. So we don't want to be scruffing our dogs or cats at all, do we?
No.
What about, you said something earlier, shh, when you say that to your cat?
Well, to us, a shh sound can be quite relaxing, but to a cat, it sounds a little bit too much like hissing. So when you're trying to calm down a cat, I would recommend against using the shush sound because it can make them completely more stressed.
Right. Then there's toilet training. A lot of people think their cat or their dog's being stubborn when they don't go in their kitty litter or a certain area.
Well, cats have an extremely highly developed sense for smell. They can detect scents in the air so much more strongly than us. So when the litter isn't ideal for them, they can really react quite badly. And that can mean, trays that aren't kept clean enough, but it can also mean things like scented litter trays or scented kitty litters types. And also if you use things like really strong smelling cleaners or strong smelling perfumes around the litter tray, that can also put them off.
And cats, they can have a preference over the type of clay they like, clumping, non-clumping whatsoever. Dogs too can have a preference about where they like to go, just whether they want to go on grass or whether they're not comfortable about that. So we need to keep that in mind and always go back to basics and lots of positive reinforcement training. Let's talk fur balls.
Well, it's a common misconception that cats are by nature just really vomity and that it's normal for them to vomit regularly.
Yeah.
In actual fact, it isn't really normal for them to be vomiting too frequently. So say if your cat is vomiting more than once a month or once every few weeks, or if it's accompanied by other signs like going off their food or being lethargic or developing diarrhea or losing weight or anything that's not normal,
yes,
then you need to seek veterinary attention.
Finally, scooting across the floor. This is not normal.
No, it's not normal, but again, it's a misconception that it's always associated with worms. Cats and dogs can get worms without having any signs whatsoever. So if they're scooting, it might not necessarily be because of worms. It could be, but it could also be things like anal gland issues, or if they've got skin irritation around their anus. Sometimes that can be due to something like skin allergies. So if your dog or cat is scooting along the ground, then it's really important to seek veterinary advice to rule out some of those other causes.
It is, and also to keep parasite protection up to date so that you can rule out worms.
And on that, cats can sometimes be a little bit sensitive to the parasite control going on the backs of their necks, not because it's painful, but just because it actually is quite cold and obviously it's just a weird sensation. Yeah. So just make sure that you do it slowly and gently and use lots of positive reinforcement.
And don't bring the pack out when they're watching because they're very clever like that, aren't they?
They sure are.
Thanks, Kish. We've busted some of those myths.
Look for NexGuard Spectra for dogs and NexGuard Spectra Spot On for cats at your local pet specialty store, including Petstock or online.